Hello, everyone. Jorge Huertas once again with all of you. Today, I'm going to show you what is and how to use circular economy. This video is also available in Spanish. Well, when we talk about circular economy, we're basically talking about a strategy on consumption and basically responsible use. It got the following characteristics. Its objective is to reduce both the entire of virgin materials and the waste production, closing the economy and ecological loops or flows of the resources. It is economic concept that is interrelated with sustainable, whose objective does value products, material, and resources. Basically, when we're talking about that, we're talking about to extend the different possibilities of a product and make longer his life cycle. The current creations of products and services with agile methodologies have taken this concept into account to try to reuse and recycle the greatest amount of inputs and have a positive impact on the environment. Okay, so nowadays circular economy is extremely important because basically it's trying to promote a situation when everyone wins, not just one person or one institution or yes, a particular. So that is extremely important because back in the day with the always to develop products or services, basically one person or one institution was trying to basically win everything, and that's not the objective here. So before we start explaining this, if you like what we do, if you like our channel, if you like our content, please subscribe. It really helps us a lot to keep growing. It really helps us a lot to keep creating and developing new videos and new content. Okay, so basically, like the name said, circular economy, it's a cycle. Of course, it's round, and it's a process that is a sprint that is continuing doing and developing and creating new situations. So first start understanding where the materials come from. If you want to develop a product or if you want to develop a service, you need to know the life cycle of a material. You need to know the life cycle and the impact that they got on the environment, because and that is a big change, because back in the day people didn't know, they have no idea where things come from, and that was a big problem because it could have a huge impact on the environment, and basically you didn't know. Nowadays all the consumers, all the users want to know where their resources come from, and that is very, very important. You need to know where the materials come from, when the supplies come from, and you need to know the process and the impact of that. After that, you start designing, and designing is something very important because of course you want to make something aesthetic and pleasing to the viewer. However, the impact of the design in the environment and in the whole economy, it could be huge. So it has to be taking into account the impacts on the environment, and of course the benefits that are not just economic, but also could have something related to emotions. That is something really, really important because sometimes you don't know how to do that. So please keep that in mind because it could really be very, very important. The production, it's extremely important because this is one of the steps that basically has bigger problems in the situations, because production could be very, very polluted. It could have a huge impact on the environment. So it's your responsibility as a role manager or as a person who's creating a new product or service to try to make the process as clean as possible. I know that this part is extremely important, but you need to be aware of how's the production, what is the impact that they have on the environment, and all of that. Of course, distribution is a big thing. When we're talking about distribution, it's about logistic. Of course, after you finish your product, it has to be packaged and all of that, but it has to be sent somewhere. And of course, the distribution and the logistic, it has to be as clean as possible. Of course, I know this is a very hard part, because the idea here is that the logistic that you got to deliver your product is as clean as possible and as the best that you can for your product, and of course the experience that you got for your customer. Then when the product is delivered, you need to be aware of the consume, of the use, of the reuse, or the reparation, because all of that, it could have a huge impact. Of course, you want to earn money. Everyone wants to do that. But you have to be aware that all of that has an impact on the world. And the idea here is that you are aware of everything. And besides that, something that is good for the people, you can use, you can reuse, you can reparate, not just use and throw away. You have to be aware of that and know how to supply those services to the customers of your product or your service. Of course, there's something very important as well, because after you finish using, you have to start thinking what's going on. I'm just gonna throw it away. I'm just gonna put it on the rubbish, on the bin. You have to be aware of that. And the idea here is that if you are thinking in a circular economy approach, you have to be aware that your product, it has to be extended their life cycle. That is very important. So you need to understand that, and of course, be aware of that and try to understand how can you make it better. It's very important that. So try to understand how can you extend the life cycle of your product. Of course, you have to develop a value proposition. You have to develop a Canvas business model to understand why is worth your development. And of course, as a circular economy product or service, you need to understand how can you make it better with that. If it's necessary, and if you can, try to recycle, try to reuse, try to extend their life cycle. And if you want to deconstruct the product and get back and start the cycle all over again, that is the best possible scenario for all of this. So try to understand those kind of situations and try to understand how can you develop all of that. That is extremely important, because it could really help you a lot with all the different positions and situations that are going on. As a conclusion, we can say that promote these kind of products or services require a lot of research. That is something extremely important, because you need to be aware of all the life cycle of the product or the service. You're trying to give back to the community. You are trying that your suppliers win, that your customers win, that every person that is involved in these programs earns something that is possible and it's positive to their situation. If you use the concept of circular economy, you cannot make superficial developments. Before of develop that, you have to be aware that you need to understand what's going on, and you need to understand that it has to have a big impact in society. Don't develop and don't create things just because you think it's trendy. The circular economy promotes to care of the planet, promotes to care of the people, promotes a lot of different scenarios that are extremely good for people, and they can be very, very good if you understand what's going on. So try to be aware of that and try to understand that this is a very good situation when you can improve the things that you do and you develop. Thank you so much. I hope this video was a big help in your education. Please subscribe to our channel, Design Thinking 24/7. Follow us on social media. Our Udemy courses are already available in the description of this video. You can find the link. Remember that every Monday we have a new video in Spanish, and every Thursday we have a new video in English. Thank you so much, and we'll see you next time.